Who's got a comment?
Who wants to go first?
Bueller.
You could raise your hand like this or put the little hand up. Maybe no one has a comment on this one.
Is that you, Aaron, raising your hand?
I just have to comment, I appreciate Pat's Gen X humor and references. You make me feel at home and I feel loved.
Pat, you're muted.
Go ahead, Teresa.
Teresa, you're muted too.
There it goes. So wow, we had an awesome time. I just hope everybody speaks because there's no way to express the phenomenal of the encouragement and just the trust and the believing and being able to let go and know that, Abba loves us. He's for us. He's always going to help us in just every way. We talked a little bit about, some of us, my job after 34 years, learning how to let go and see, okay, God, where now? And, I spoke with you guys the other day, where now? Where do we go now? And so while you were speaking, there was some things that I spoke. So before I forget, one day I was battling and I heard the Lord speak to me and he said, I carry you in the womb of my heart. He said, and that you're seeking is seeking you. So I went through when you were talking, and I had, what you guys know, I had preached the other week, and it was talking about Legion. He identified himself with all the hurt, with all the wounds, and what Jesus did, he just reached out and showed him love, and he showed him that he was important. And he identified him. So I'm going to just read the scriptures off that you gave that I felt like identified us, or me as well. And I'm sure everyone else. And it said, verse 7, you're fully, completely known, even down to the most seemingly insignificant detail, down to the very end and the very end and the very end of that toenail. And then verse 8, you have nothing to fear. That's massive. And what's the word fear? It means false evidence appearing real. So you have nothing to fear. Innumerable flocks of sparrows cannot possibly, not possibly compete of what God, of what you are worth or the value. And then verse 12, the Holy Spirit will always be your timely teacher. And another thing that I spoke on, in that Spirit of God that lies within you, that helps lead you to the very perfect will of God. And we have that inward groaning that's bringing forth the manifestation, the reality of God, that's bringing us to the very will of God. So as we hurt and we moan and we cry, and we're in those days, we're bringing forth that fruit of righteousness. That word son means full, or the child of God. So it's bringing forth that child on the inside of you, that simplistic faith that entered into the kingdom. So just a couple more right here. And it said, don't worry or even waste a moment, because your inner person is so much more than the things that you have. And I was telling the story about the guy when I was going through a battle, my job, and lost everything, I was just having a bad day that day. And so I'm going to try to pull this up, and I don't know if it's going to come up. It's kind of screwed up there. Hang on just one second there. Let me pull this back up. So I was having a rough day. One of the guys that worked with me, for me, he called and he said he checks on me regularly. And I said, oh, I'm not having a good day. And I was crying. He said, well, don't cry, Teresa, you know. And so he sent this to me. And little did he know that I had quoted this that morning. And not only that, he was supposed to call me the week before, and he got busy. So this is what it said. God, no matter what I face today, I am grateful that I can say with confidence, surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, because you go with me all the days of my life. Thank you for being my source of strength and security. Right now, I give you my worries for the day because I trust my life. But what I didn't say is I was having a bad day, and I put my head down and I said, Ty, I said, God, I don't want a word from me or Ty. Before I got it out of my mouth, he sent me that text. And I'm thinking, awesome. And then Isaiah 65 said, before you even call on me, I've heard you. And he hears the very intent of our heart, the things we never say. He already has gone before us to prepare the way. And to me, that was awesome. Much love.
Awesome.
Teresa.
Good job.
Good job. Up next,
You know, hey, Teresa, you know, I told the Lord yesterday when I was reading that, I said, you can count all the hairs on my head. I'm not impressed. All right,
Okay,
Rachel,
Rachel.
your turn. Thank you, Teresa.
Well, we had an amazing group. We had some great conversations and a lot of really heart-to-heart sharing. And I'd like to share just something that I got. And I shared it with the group too, because all of it about what I'm about to share was bits and pieces kind of what we were sharing. And so a couple things that really stood out to me is in 12:15, when it says, discover how rich you already are in yourself. Life is not about getting, it's about giving. And then Patrick quoted that verse, right, from Luke 6:38. But at the very last phrase of it, it says, pressed down, shaken together, flowing out of your bosom. And so I wrote down while Patrick was teaching, I wrote in my notes, I'm bosom rich. And I just wrote, my bounteous bursting bosom is brimful. But really, the bosom is our bosom beginning, right? That's why we're rich. We've discovered our wealth in the bosom. We're so filthy, stinking rich. We don't even know it, you know? We're God's kids, man. And we are rich. We're so rich. And then part of what I got there is discover your wealth in God. And I thought about it, and I wrote in the margin while Patrick is teaching, I wrote, I haven't ever needed anything up until this single moment of my life. Every single thing that I've ever needed has been provided up until this single moment of my life, and then some. Then I can look back and say, not only did I get what I needed, I got what I wanted. So I'm rich, And then if you go over again to 12:24, it says that God would be prepared to go to any lengths, basically, to nurture me, right? And then the last line of the commentary there says, imagine how far and wide birds would fly in order to find foods for their young. And that's what he would do for us. But it's more than food. It's really anything that we ask him for. And then I ended with this in 12:26 and said, relax and enjoy the moment, because when I come back to this one moment right here, I realize I'm okay. I made it to this moment, guys. And not only did I have everything that I needed, I had more than that up until this, even when I was homeless. I still had everything that I needed. I know that sounds crazy. Even when I was in jail, I made it. Look, I'm here, dude. Relax and enjoy the moment. And I tell the ladies in jail sometimes, I can feel their anxiety being in jail because they haven't heard from their families in a while. They haven't heard from their children. They don't know what's going on with their court cases. There's so much up in the air that they don't know about. And I'll just say, if I feel the anxiety, I'll just say, guys, do y'all want to be here with me today? Because I came to be with you right in this moment. Let's be together right in this moment, because everything around us in this system, in this jail, is designed to make you trip out up here. And if you go out of this moment, then you're either in the past and you're sad or living in regret, or I wish I could have done that, or I'm so mad that they did that to me. If they wouldn't have done that, I wouldn't be here. Or we future trip, right? And we think about the worst case scenario. And so I tell them, you know, for just a moment, let's be here. Let's be here together. And another thing I say is, I don't know why in our human minds sometimes, when we picture the future, we picture the worst case scenario. But according to this, if we're bosom rich, if we're so filthy rich, if we know that we're from the bosom of God, then why can't we imagine the best? You know, and I say, and I don't know if I've written it yet, but I always tell the girls in jail, if you have to prepare for your future, prepare for laughter, because that's what we're going to be doing. So you should just go ahead and start laughing now. Will it be hard in spite of your circumstances and the contradictions that you're living in? Yeah, it might be, but I can tell you this, there's laughter in your future.
Excellent.
Excellent, Rachel. Thanks for sharing. Okay, Timothy.
I just love hearing the joy, the revelations that come to this group, and Rachel's just blessed. Yeah, I am so blessed listening to Rachel. It dawned on me just right now that all of us in our culture, we may not be behind bars, but the mental state of our culture puts us into a prison of worry, of fear, of doubt. And no prophetic word from anybody that, you know, you can crack open you can get one of those fortune cookies and it will be meaningless to you unless you realize what Patrick read this evening, Luke 12:24. Ponder rather how carefree the crows are. They do not sow or reap, neither do they have a secret store chambers or granaries. God indulges them. I will. God indulges us, people. Rachel just said we are crazy rich. He indulges every one of us. Think about the last prayer request that you had. Did he not do more than what you asked? Did it not happen that it was more abundantly than what you asked or thought? God indulges crows, and he's going to indulge you because we are so blessed being. And then when you are in the moment, what was that? Verse 26? Yeah. This was me to a T. I was a young guy. I wanted to grow up. I wanted to get out of high school. And I wanted to get out of college. You know, where's the fast forward? Put the gas down. And now that I'm older, you know, where's the brake? But Jesus said, relax. enjoy the moment. No amount of anxiety, or I'll put this on, no amount of you pulling up yourself up by your own bootstraps and rehearsing every positive thing. I got this little booklet here, right? You can rehearse every little positive thing. God's creative power will work for you. You can rehearse it until you're blue in the face, until you relax and enjoy the moment that God has created for each and every one of us. Boy, did this speak to me today. Relax and enjoy this moment. I so enjoy everyone's testimony on here, and how this just Holy Spirit, she is just working just so powerfully in this group. And I tell you what, there are more relaxed people on this group than the Fort Wayne living room group. They've had their feet up the whole time in our group. And I'm so glad that they're on this call. Amen. God bless you guys.
Okay, Rachel.
On one of the two.
Other Rachel.
Um, two different things. One of them was kind of a vision I had during the official message. Kind of had it for like half a second. But when he was talking about hell and how our minds and a lot of what goes on in our minds and stuff can be the cause of hell sometimes in our natural life, I had a vision where I was what I would call what was left of hell. Don't question that. But basically it's just an empty hole. There's nothing there. It's just part of the entrance to heavenly places. Everyone enters through it. And the first time I saw the purpose of it, I saw that it removed every bad thought, that it was there to remove every issue that we had so that we could then enter into heaven. It was a place to put our problems. And I saw that the Lord was just, when we think we're in the middle of hell, but really the Lord's just opening us up to remove those problems. And the other was, I just saw that the Holy Spirit really talks to us constantly and doesn't stop talking to us when we think she does.
Thank you, beautiful Rachel.
Wonderful.
We
Thank you,
love
Rachel.
you. Awesome. Okay, Keisha.
Good evening. The one thing I want to share is something that I believe the Father wants us to register, and that's the significance of Him giving us the gift of His image. We literally are His image bearers, and I think talking to Pam and Pat a few days ago, that kind of just came out while we were talking. But I saw it in this verse here, verse 8. Everyone who mirrors me in their conversation and who I am, mirrored in mankind, will the Son of Man also mirror in his conversation face to face with the shepherd, messengers of the Father. So a thought came to me when we were thinking about that, with respect to how we can approach the quote unquote mirror. And I guess the picture was when you go to the physical mirror, it's easy to interpret what you're seeing behind it as the reflection, because that's what we were told. And so intellectually, we register ourselves as the origin of the image rather than the reflection. And so now that we are encountering the word from the perspective of the mirror gospel, that shift in our paradigm becomes an important one, because we are not the origin of the image. We are the bearers of the image. And so that is the beautiful thing, in the sense that, well, for many reasons, but one of the things that comes out to me is the fact that when I approach the Abba concerning the things of my life, I have the option of approaching him from the I am perspective or the I am not perspective. The I am not is what I've been trained to relate to. That's the narrative that we are so exposed to. It's the most visible and public one. It gets more visibility and noise and loudness than any other narrative there is. So it tends to be seemingly the baseline perspective. And if I'm approaching the mirror from that, likening that to physically approaching a visible mirror in front of me, I can easily see all the things that are quote unquote wrong, that I want fixed, that are too much or too little or whatever they may be. You know, and we were in the group, we were discussing it. Eyebrows not full enough, cheekbones too high, lips too full, etc., etc. That's an I am not approach. And yet, I would only be doing that if I am interpreting myself as the origin of the image. And I'm basically saying to the mirror, listen, you're not reflecting me right. Fix it. Right? I am not this. The zit doesn't belong here. Blah, 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 blah. And yet, on the other hand, what I found has happened is that when the paradigm shifts to one where I am is my reference point, I am is my vantage point, I am is my perspective, then the conversation changes, because I now register myself as the image that I see behind the glass. I am now the reflection. And the reflection doesn't get to tell Abba what I am. The reflection gets to reflect and learn what I am. So I am tells me what I am. I am tells me. So literally, I come with my pen and my paper to take notes. Tell me once again what I am, who I am, where I am, how beautiful I am. I mean, I don't care who didn't say it before about me. You're the one that gets to tell me this thing that I am. And so I just think I just feel this need to say to all of us here, God has given creation to the world, and yet he has given us, he's reserved the gift of his image to one species on earth, and it's us. We all get to bear his face. They're beautiful animals, they're beautiful flowers, they're beautiful plants, all kinds, all kinds, all kinds. But they don't bear his face. We do. That's awesome. That's awesome. I mean, I literally look like Abba. I just look like him. I literally look like him. I get to mirror Abba. We get to mirror Abba. And this thing surpasses feeling, emotion. There are emotions. Get ready for the ride. I mean, I'm sure we've all experienced them. There will be more to get. Good days, bad days, whatever days. That's not a game changer. We get to wear his face. So that's what I have to share.
Woohoo! Bring it home, Polly. Hold on, Polly, you're muted.
Oh, still muted. Am I
Oh,
muted now? Can you hear me? Okay, sorry. I'm kind of just writing on what Keisha was talking about, the image, and this is just something that happened to me like on Friday. My son took us on a trip to Ben and Jerry's plant, ice cream plant, right? So we were on our way over there, and I was in the car, and we were kind of all just joking around and stuff. And but inside my heart, I was missing Victor so badly. This is weird, okay, but it was real. So I was missing Victor real badly, and I was looking out the window, and it is so beautiful. We were going on our way to Vermont because we were in New Hampshire, but we went to it's a 2-hour drive. So we were. I was looking. It's like everything was so beautiful, and we were just traveling. You could see the trees and hills up in front of you and on the side like that. And in my heart, it's like, God, I just miss Victor so much, Lord. I wish he was here with me, and you know. And just like that, and all of a sudden I see Victor's face in the trees, like when you see it in a movie, you know, and you see images, right, and of people. I really saw Victor's face, and all of a sudden Victor's just smiling at me, and he says, "I love you." And I said, "Oh, baby," and he goes, "I'm right here with you." I forgot to say that part. I'm right here with you. And all of a sudden, Victor's face was not Victor's face anymore; it was Jesus's face. And so it was the image of Christ. He said, you know, so it reminded me that of, you know, what Patrick had read in 12:24. Ponder rather how carefree the crows are. They do not sow or reap, neither do they have secret store chambers or granaries. God indulges in them. I mean, God indulges them. Now, compared to birds, to what greater lengths do you think would God be prepared to go for you in order to nurture you? So that little thing, and you know, like Patrick was saying, there's so many sparrows, and you know, so it's the least of the birds, right? That you would even think about, but he does care about those little bitty things that are in our hearts. You know, only he knew how deep my missing Victor. I know it's nothing big, but it is big. It was big to him. And sweet Brian was telling me in our little group, you know, that it does mean a lot. You know, those, I don't know, he spoke so many sweet, you know, great things to us. And yeah, it was important to God, you know, that it mattered to me. So we are made in his image, and he wants us to know that he sees that when we see each other, we do see him. So to look at each other as Christ looks at us, you know. So that's all.
Great, Polly. Now, did you want to finish it, Joan? Your hand was up.
Yeah, hi, I missed you all. It's been a while. And oh, I'm mute. Oh, I'm on. I'm convinced of one thing. We're all God's favorite. Everyone comes on and talks about how special the group they're in. And I'm smiling. I'm thinking, we're all in special groups. We're all, it just really was just very, it doesn't matter who you're put with, there is the love of God that comes forth. And the other thing I wanted to highlight too was about the inheritance. When I see myself of God's inheritance, and he is my inheritance. And so it's not, you know, an inheritance is incorruptible. There's an incorruptible inheritance. And so forth. But what he talked briefly to me when you guys were sharing earlier was when the church said, I am rich and have need of nothing. And he said, you need to buy of me gold, and that to come into divinity, the full divine nature of God. And that's who we are. We are a part of everything that he is. And he's calling us into understanding our birthright. And with a birthright, there's an inheritance. I won't say anything else. That's it. Good night. But I've missed you, and I'm back.
We've missed you too, beautiful Joan. It's so great to see everybody.
I'm glad we got through hell.
On to bigger and better things.
On to bigger things. We got through hell.
We love you all. It was a great night.
It was hot.
Oh wait, I should end this.
Hot. Maybe that's what they're saying.